Chairwoman Kim, Ranking Member Vera, members of the subcommittee, thank you so much for the opportunity to testify. It's an honor to be here today. The United States has too often responded to serious geopolitical challenges in an unserious way, failing to prepare for either crises or opportunities and poorly employing one of America's most potent weapons, our economic power. In 2008, Russia invaded Georgia. America was unprepared. In 2014, Russia invaded Ukraine and illegally annexed Crimea. Again, America was unprepared. In 2022, Russia again invaded Ukraine and started a war that killed hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians. Somehow, once again, we were unprepared. In each case, our economic power was either underutilized or disregarded. Sanctions, when they came, were ad hoc, incremental, and did more to push the war into a stalemate than to bring peace. Poorly enforced export controls led to blatant evasion, and leaky oil caps gave rise to a shadow fleet flotilla. Russia is not the exception. The Arab Spring blossomed and died without meaningful U.S. economic support. Venezuelan elections were stolen, and a handful of officials are sanctioned. A coup overthrows democracy in Myanmar, and America's enormous economic power sits idle. Over and over, the U.S. responds to global crises with a fragmented toolkit. A sanction here, an export control there, disconnected, delayed, and diluted. Still, we have unmatched strengths: the world's reserve currency, deep capital markets, innovative companies. And yet we spread our economic power across dozens of siloed agencies without a central strategy or command structure. Technology isn't maximized, enforcement isn't prioritized, intelligence isn't operationalized. Now is the ideal time to change this. We are in an economic moment of opportunity that we haven't seen in 80 years. We need to seize this period of trade awakening to elevate economic statecraft as a key tenet of U.S. foreign policy and driver of national security. We can no longer treat adversaries and chaos agents the same as allies and rule followers. To push back, we must use the power of our markets to defend our markets by creating a near global economy. American capital and consumers should not be open to every rogue nation or evil empire. Access to our markets must be reserved for those who accept market principles, and access to our currency must be granted to those who don't manipulate their own. The status quo must change, and quickly. As my written testimony lays out, the State Department is well placed to meet the new global moment of economic engagement by reinforcing foreign policy strengths and developing new economic policy capabilities. We must begin, however, with a recognition that we may have launched an economic war without an economic Pentagon. To address our organizational deficiencies will require dedicated new leadership, such as establishing a Deputy Secretary of State for Economic Security that could lead a new interagency economic command center. It will require new specialists on economic security within the diplomatic corps to translate strategies into country-level action and feed local intelligence back into policy. It will require new planning capacities to proactively wargame risk scenarios and develop pre-planned economic strike packages and reserve staff to call up in times of crisis. It will require innovative new tools like an economic strike force to provide a conditional support package when a regime is toppled or a reformer comes to power to support banking, trade, and sustain jobs for potential new allies during periods of upheaval. And it will require modernizing our economic statecraft efforts with new technology, real-time data, and innovative intelligence tools. New capacities, better training, and leading-edge technology are all essential, but there must also be an institutional shift of culture and mindset. Economic security must go beyond isolated sanctions and export controls to a coordinated strategy that deploys tariffs, investment screening, supply chain initiatives, transparency mechanisms, and foreign development in a more integrated way. As I show in a graphic on the final page of my written testimony, the wide variety of statecraft tools are integrated gears that drive the engine of America's economic power projection. With the right leadership, the right tools, and the right strategy, we can unleash the full potential of that engine. We can bring American economic power to bear faster, smarter, and with purpose. We can deter aggression, support allies, and help anchor a near-global economy that is stable, free, open, and fair. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.